Big exciting news as state stimulus checks continue to roll out. $1,200, $375, as more cities and counties across the country are announcing rent stimulus, free stimulus, $5,000, $10,000. It's all really exciting as states say, you know what? I don't know what's going on with Congress, but we're going to take care of you. So these are states that ironically said they had no money left. And now suddenly they're rolling out free stimulus checks, stimulus rent, stimulus utilities. Meantime, what are states doing for extended benefits? Yes, some states are stepping up and giving you extended benefits. Then, what's going on with Congress? Is there any good stimulus checks going to be in this bill that concerns things other than just stimulus? How about hazard pay? Will that be in the CR or will that come in January? And what about the stimulus for SSI and SSDI? Is that coming now or is that coming in January? And how about rent and food and the CDC grant? All those incredible details are formulating into what is going to happen in the next few minutes. If not next few hours. It's changing by the minute. I'm so excited for you to join me. And boy, if you blink, there might be another stimulus check coming from your state later today. It's that ever changing, and this is Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Purple with breaking developments about state stimulus checks that are coming out to a lot of residents across the country. And this is very exciting because it's supplemented by state rent stimulus checks that are being sent out as well. In some cases, counties are issuing the stimulus checks additionally. If you've not subscribed, please do, because this is the channel where viewers are getting big money. I'm working around the clock to ensure that you get money. Not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. Money right now. This is right now money that's coming from your city, state, and county that's available across the board. If you're in states, let's say like Mississippi, and you called up Mississippi and you said, I can't find anything. I can't find any rent or food or utility assistance. Guess what? Not only am I going to tell you where you find it, the other volunteers of this channel are going to tell you as well. And the viewers of this channel are going to step up and say, I got stimulus rent paid in Mississippi in not 1, not 2, but 3 different locations. That's a spirit of subscribing to this channel because the volunteers, the volunteers, and the other viewers are all trying to help one another. That's a spirit of compromise, and that's a spirit of fighting through this pandemic. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In this video, I'm going to go over a lot of breaking details. First, I'm going to go over what's going on with your states. The state stimulus checks, then I'll turn to the state rent stimulus, then I'll turn to the state utility stimulus, then I'll turn to what I call the privates. These nonprofits and these religious groups nationally that are really stepping up and paying stimulus for rent, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 in states in which you may call your city and county, can't find anything. Guess what? The religious groups are paying for it as well. Then I'll turn to the federal government and go over what's going on for your SSI and SSDI stimulus check. And how about those other stimulus or grant things that we talk about, hazard pay, all those things as well. A lot of breaking developments. I'm so excited you're joining me, and let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that there were major developments across the board, and I'm expecting these announcements to continue up to about December 15th, and then they'll tailor off a lot. States have a lot of money. Cities have a lot of money, and counties have a lot of money. And this is CARES Act 1 money, $150 billion of CARES Act 1 money that they're having to use or lose, and that lose date is coming around the corner. And once they realize, wait a second, we have some money to use, they're using it. So what's going on? Example, Orange County, Florida, went live with a county stimulus check. This is just a stimulus check. It has no restrictions on what you use the money for. It's a stimulus check. Announced it for its county a few weeks ago. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. When I ran the video, the program had almost closed that day, but another viewer applied later after watching the video, got the stimulus check. Then it closed. Then we assumed, okay, it's gone. Guess what? It's back again. That's what's happening around the board. Examples across the board is a $1,200 stimulus check coming out in New Mexico, a $375, I believe it's in Arizona. $1,200 stimulus checks are coming out from some states. Some states it's a little bit less. And then we have counties like Orange County with an over $1,000 stimulus check. So states, cities, and counties are sending out stimulus checks. And if yours hasn't announced it yet, stay in tune with it because a lot are announcing them around the board. Like in Philadelphia, they're announcing a massive stimulus package. You got to stay with them to find out what's involved. That's the first thing, a stimulus check. Then we have stimulus rent. This is free rent. This is not $100. This is not 1 month. It's generally 3, 6, 12 months of free rent. In some cases, it's generally about $5,000. In other cases, it's $15,000, $20,000. Viewers of this channel have gotten far in excess of $300,000 because of these recordings over the last 14 days, generally from free rent stimulus. So what's going on with this one? First, cities, counties, and states have free rent for you. The way you find it is you call your city hall, your county hall, and your state housing authority. You also want to call your city housing authority. You ask, do you have any rent assistance for COVID? Very simple. Do you have any rent assistance or rent help for COVID? I'm having problems paying my rent. Do you have any rent help for COVID? And they will direct you to the place. You call your city hall, your county hall, your state housing authority, and your city housing authority. Now, after you go through that, let me give you the following information. A lot of cities, counties, and states have now announced rent stimulus they did not have no less than a few days ago. Entire state of New York is going live with a rent stimulus. City of New York going live with a rent stimulus. San Diego County going live with a rent stimulus. Houston City going live with a rent stimulus. Then today we had some more. Nashville going live with a rent stimulus. And then we have Harrisburg in PA going live with a rent stimulus. And then Stark County, which I believe is in Ohio, going live with a rent stimulus. Everything, then I forgot Georgia, Atlanta, going live with rent stimulus. Macon, DeKalb, and Gwinnett, all these other counties in Georgia going live with rent stimulus. So these are very exciting. They're not open forever. You need to go and get them right away. What's important to understand is that when you're looking for this rent stimulus, call them up. A lot of viewers think that everything is done digitally, that everything has a website, that everything has an online form, that everything has an app. A lot of these cities are too small. They just don't have the manpower to build websites for these things. So do it the old-fashioned way, the telephone, and keep on calling. If someone says, I don't know what you're talking about, call someone else. Then we have the privates. This is all real exciting news. Please turn into Purple Power Live, which is the live version of the show every night at about 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. And in there, I detail the states there that have private organizations, generally national, well-known, 100-year-old nonprofits that are paying for rent. In Mississippi, we have learned of 3 privates that are paying for rent. In Philadelphia, there's 1 that's paid for rent. In Indiana, there's 2. In Kentucky, there's 1. In Pennsylvania, there's another 1. In New York, there's 1. In Michigan, there's a very big one. And in Arizona, there's 1. And in Georgia, there's 1 as well. Over in Rhode Island last night, we learned of not 1, but 2 organizations paying for rent. In Delaware, we learned of 1. In Texas and El Paso specifically, we learned of 2. And then we learned of 1 that nationally is doing heating assistance, free heating oil. And then we learned of 1 private bank that's doing mortgage relief. Thank God for that as well. So exciting. If you're having problems finding this after you have looked, then go to the community page, which is now at news.lalate.com/community. I'll drop it in the links above and you'll see the image volunteers. That'll send you to the news, the Lalate website, in which it lists 9 volunteers who will help you find these rents and grants and stimulus if you can't find as well. What's important for you to understand, I want you to remain focused with me especially, is that I want you to focus on rent first, then utilities. I don't want you to sit back and only look for a stimulus check. Stimulus check is sort of the easy way to default to everything. Don't assume they're going to send you a stimulus check to have you go, that you can go use to go buy a new truck or to put a down payment on a new condo. Don't assume something very sort of simple. Generally, it's rent. That's the big ticket item, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000. Focus on rent first, then utilities, which almost everywhere you can get, and then food. And if your city or county state is doing stimulus check, good, but don't look for stimulus check, and then if it's not there, just stop looking. That's not right. Gotta look for rent. That's going to be the big item to get. All right, now let's turn to the federal government. What are they giving you? So they're going to give you in this stimulus package, the CR, likely a round of PPP, which a lot of people just don't really like, and a lot of people won't use. But what Joe Biden's going to give you in January is the following stimulus grant items. Let's go over one at a time. First, $2,400 if you're on SSI and SSDI. Yeah, you're going to get that. It won't be part of the stimulus package, I don't think. I think it's going to be a standalone bill. So it's going to be three provisions. SSI and SSDI would get that standalone bill, I think, in January, and it would have a $2,400 payment in it, $200 a month, every month from now to about December 31st next year. And then you would have that step up, that 20% increase, up to 20% lifetime, really exciting. And then you would have a new benchmark that would increase your benefits annually, a different benchmark than COLA. Also, in January, you would get another round of EIDL, not one, but two. You would get hazard pay. You would get hazard pay, all the way back to January 2020 of this year. And then going forward to about 60 days after the pandemic ends. You would also get the CDC grant, which is for essential workers. You get rent grant, you get food grant, and more. And what's important to understand is that all these things are likely to get passed, even in a GOP-run Senate, but the numbers might get modified. First of all, the Lifeline grant, which is that $50,000 grant. Yeah, I don't see Mitch giving you $50,000 ever for anything, so that's going to get hacked to death. But hazard pay $10,000. Yeah, I don't see Mitch giving you $10,000 either if the GOP retains control of the Senate, so that would get reduced. But everything else I see happening. A rent grant, sure. At the end of the eviction moratorium, you need rent because otherwise you're on the street. That's not going to work, so they got to give you rent. Food, sure. Student loan debt forgiveness, sure. EIDL, yeah, that's actually a more Republican type instrument. EIDL has been supported by Marco Rubio and a lot of moderate Republicans for years, so that's just not, I don't see that dissipating if there's a GOP-run Senate. And the exciting news is that all these things are sort of unfolding across the board. But what's important to understand is that this stuff would come in January. Now, of all the instruments that viewers always ask a lot of questions about is hazard pay. Am I getting hazard pay? And when am I getting hazard pay? And who would apply for hazard pay? Remember, the deal provisions of hazard pay called for the employer to apply for hazard pay, not you. It's just not a good thing. Especially, it's not good if we're talking about hazard pay in January. A lot of businesses have shut down by January that you may have worked for in 2020. Well, if they shut down by the time that hazard pay becomes law in January of next year, then who's going to apply for the hazard pay for you? Doesn't make sense. Ultimately, Joe Biden wants to ensure that you get a lot of stuff. He wants to ensure that frontline workers get paid. He wants to ensure that people on SSI and SSID get paid, and veterans get paid, and seniors get paid. He wants to ensure that certain groups who did not get a lot of money the first time around get paid. The people who did get a lot of money the first time around, and certainly were the topic of discussion this week on the CR as well, is businesses. Businesses got a lot of grants before, got a lot of grants during the last few months, and are up for more grants again. How many more grants can they possibly get? The important news as you sit here today is that I continue to get viewers big sums of money. So what I want you to ensure is that you get this money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 months from now. Go to the community page of this channel. The most common question I get from viewers about the community page is, I need a volunteer who's in Nebraska. No, the volunteers are helping people nationally. The volunteers are helping viewers nationally, doing about 30 cases a day. Second, I always have someone that says, I need a rent. Is there any rent grants for people who are disabled, who are divorcees? Don't give all these restrictors to your situation because they don't write grants for all those situations. Now, you may be just describing your situation to see whether you qualify. Ultimately, what you should be focusing on is the broad thing. So if we're looking for rent, is there any rent programs in my state? Is there any rent programs in my city? Any rent programs in my county? And then when you see it, then apply, see the provisions in there, and deal with it then. Don't go asking for all these things. especially if you're calling City Hall, County Hall, or State Housing Authority, because they won't know the answer. No one knows the answer when you start adding all these restrictors, like, well, for persons who are born in the month of April, and for people who like tuna, not chicken. It just makes it a little confusing. Finally, if you have questions about your state stimulus check and your state stimulus rent, tune into Purple Power Live tonight. There's major developments across the board, and I want to ensure that you get that money. What's important for you to do is remain focused, positive, and open-minded. I'm going to give you an example. There was a wonderful viewer named Tyrone who, at the time he was looking for rent in Massachusetts, there were a lot of people on this channel saying there's nothing available in Massachusetts. It doesn't exist. I told Tyrone, sort of ignore that and fight for it and go get it. He got $14,000. $14,000, 6 months for him and his family. I've had a lot of other viewers who listen to my messaging ignore the negativity. The negativity is stuff like there never is anything in Mississippi. I got that this morning. Someone said, Mississippi's not giving anything to anyone. Well, the state may not be giving anything to Mississippi, but not one, not two, but 3 private organizations are giving rent grants to viewers of this channel in Mississippi. So when a viewer of this channel in Mississippi gets $10,000 and you're sitting back and saying there's nothing in Mississippi, that viewer's watching and saying, why is this person saying there's nothing in Mississippi when I just got $10,000 2 days ago? Well, how did you get $10,000? They got it by staying positive, by staying focused, and listening to the channel's recordings, reaching out to volunteers, and watching Purple Power Live, in which I go over those details. Another example is Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was the city that went live with a rent grant but then closed it. Well, private organization, very well known, 100-year-old organizations paying rent in Philadelphia. So don't sit back and say there's nothing, because I can guarantee you, in every city or county or state, there is at least utility assistance, at least utility stimulus. And in some cases, there's even more than that. If you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. Join me next for a live recording of Dean and Mitch. I go over your unemployment questions and more. And then join me for Evening's Check. Please do not miss Evening's Check, because that's a major recording. That details where we ended the day with the CR negotiations. This recording gives you where you are at the midday of the negotiations, but by the end of the day, a lot of developments occurring across the board. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay at LA for more.